Associated Press reporting the Kremlin is signaling it is ready to keep talking with the West about security grievances that led to the current Ukraine crisis. The gesture offering hope that Russia might not invade its beleaguered neighbor within days, as the U.S. and Europe increasingly fear. Questions remain about Russian President Vladimir Putin's intentions, however. On a last-ditch diplomatic trip, Germany's chancellor said there are no sensible reasons for the buildup of more than 130,000 Russian troops on Ukraine's border, and he urged more dialogue. Britain's prime minister said Europe is on the edge of a precipice, but added there is still time for President Putin to step back. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said at a meeting with President Putin that Moscow should hold more talks with the U.S. and its allies, despite their refusal to consider the main Russian demands. Lavrov said the talks, quote, can't go on indefinitely, but I would suggest to continue and expand them at this stage. He noted that Washington has offered to discuss limits for missile deployments in Europe, restrictions on military drills, and other confidence-building measures. Asked by the Russian president if it made sense to continue diplomatic efforts, Lavrov responded that possibilities for talks are far from being exhausted, and he proposed to continue the negotiations. He said his ministry would allow the U.S. and its allies to wouldn't allow the U.S. and its allies to stonewall Russia's main requests. Poland is the largest European Union nation to border Ukraine, and the government is making preparations to accept Ukrainian refugees in the event of another Russian attack on the country. While other countries draw down their diplomatic missions in Ukraine, Poland says it is keeping its diplomatic operations in place for now, in case they are needed to facilitate a large-scale exit of Ukrainians. Poland has welcomed large numbers of Ukrainian migrants in recent years, particularly after Russia's incursions into Ukraine in 2014. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro is preparing to travel to Russia despite Western warnings the nation could soon invade Ukraine. The news has frustrated those who have suggested he cancel Monday's trip, including the U.S. government and members of his own cabinet. The trip was planned well before the Ukraine crisis arose, and Bolsonaro says his focus is on bilateral trade with an important economic partner. But even some of his allies fear Bolsonaro could make damaging comments on the crisis, or that his presence could be seen as support for a Russian invasion of its neighbor. In the U.S., remaining vaccine mandates for medical workers are set to be implemented this week in 25 mostly conservative states. And it is once again becoming clear how widespread the use of religious exemptions is in the U.S. as a workaround to complying with such requirements. Many faith leaders are wary of religious exemptions of the coronavirus vaccine. AP correspondent Walter Ratliff reports.
Americans have been seeking religious exemptions by the thousands in order to circumvent COVID-19 vaccine mandates, but they're generally doing so without the encouragement of major denominations and prominent religious leaders. From the Vatican, Pope Francis has defended the vaccines as the most reasonable solution to the pandemic. And Robert Jeffress, the conservative pastor of a Baptist megachurch in Dallas, says there is no credible biblical argument against the vaccines. He says he has refused exemptions from the handful of people who have requested them. I'm Walter Ratliff.
After 6 months in power, the acting defense minister of Afghanistan's Taliban government announced plans to build a 110,000-strong army for Afghanistan. Mullah Mohammad Yaqub told Radio Television Afghanistan in his first-ever television interview that the Taliban leadership has approved the plan for the building of the new army. Yaqub said the registration for the new army has reached almost 80,000 and that 10,000 soldiers had already graduated from training.
Hi, thank you for watching. I hope the videos are useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel using the button below.